This is the second video on experimental probability and expected value as well. Okay, so this is extending on from the previous video by introducing the idea of expected value. You must have watched the previous video to be fully understanding of this one, so go back to the previous video on experimental probability 1. In the previous video we also did look at an example, and it's the one you can see here. You might remember it from the previous video, and we got a box and it's got a certain number of coloured balls, and then they're drawn and then replaced. You might remember that was repeated 100 times, and the colour of the ball that you pull out is recorded each time, and 25 red balls were recorded out of 100, and we looked at what the experimental probability would be, and we looked at probability of red was 25 out of 100, and that's from the previous video. So make sure you've watched that, if you like as a decimal, 0.25, or if you like simplified fractions, a quarter. So what we're looking at now is this idea of expected number. Sometimes expected number is called expected value, and it's a very important idea. So expected value is the other phrase that's used sometimes, and this is used a lot when we're looking at when say a company is looking at how often will a component fail or break. What's the likelihood of something occurring given this many trials? It might be what a gambling institution uses to work out the odds or the likeliness of them gaining money versus losing money, because if you place money on a bet, let's say it's a casino wheel, there's a small chance that the casino will lose money, and when they lose money it's a lot, but there's a very, very big probability of them gaining lots of little bits, and that second one has to be bigger than the first one, and therefore the casino or gambling institution will win money. So that's where it's used. For this example here, we use our probability, all right, the experimental probability. If we're confident that that's a good number, if we've done a lot of trials, remember in the long run it's about doing a lot of trials. If we're happy with that and we're confident about that, we use that probability, and it says find the expected number of red balls if the box contained 500 balls in total. So what we do is expected number or expected value. One of the symbols you see sometimes is a capital E. Notice that probability is a capital P and expected value is a capital E. Expected value of some event X is the probability of that event happening times the number of trials. So that's the number of trials, and that's the experimental probability, which was from the previous video. Whoops, that's probability, P-R-O-B. And in this case here, for this particular case, we've got a quarter times 500, which is 500 divided by 4, which is 125. So we would expect 125 red balls. If you don't like fractions, you could have used 0.25 times 500.